The Dark Knight is an iconic thriller spy film directed by Christopher Nolan, released in 2008, which stars Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, and Michael Caine, and which happens to be my favorite film because of the well-paced, amazingly shot scenes, along with some jaw-dropping pieces of acting. For time's sake, this video will be focused on the visual storytelling components of this masterpiece of a film, by focusing on three major examples from the film to help show the film's composition with camera movement, object placement, and also lighting. In this scene, the conversation between the Joker and Harvey takes place when Harvey is at his lowest point in the film, as the Joker tries to shed a new perspective into his world, and by the end of the conversation turns Harvey Dent into Two-Face. This scene does a great job in showing the camera angles and also the placement of objects. Harvey's current unstable mental health can be shown by the MRI scans in the backdrop to symbolize Harvey's current crippled state he is in. At the beginning of the scene, by viewing the camera angle alone, we can see how the camera angle shows the progression of power throughout the scene. In the first half of the scene, the camera angle is below eye level with the Joker. Although Harvey Dent may not seem intimidated, this can signify the leverage Joker currently has over Dent, as he has just killed the love of his life, and the Joker is truly an unstoppable force in this part of the film. To show how hopeless Harvey Dent is, it helps to show the Joker pinning his wrists against the bed with no problem whatsoever, but also that Harvey Dent is looking up to the Joker, as Harvey is on the lower diagonal, gazing up to the Joker, signifying how vulnerable Harvey Dent really is in contrast to the Joker. However, as this interesting conversation continues, the shift changes as both characters meet eye to eye for once, showing them from the same height, as it shows how both characters are now on the same page after it took some convincing with conversation, as both characters are now equally level with another, both equally capable of causing insane anarchy.
Well, then everyone loses their minds. Introduce a little anarchy.
The camera distance also plays a role with feelings in this, to connect to the audience as we begin with medium shots and gradually zoom in towards close-ups between both characters as the conversation continues. These close-ups really get to allow the audience to show how Harvey is being exploited, and it puts us closer between their emotions. The closer we get to both characters, the more the words from the Joker starts to affect Harvey, as Aaron Eckhart's acting takes over also, and this leaves the audience to really feel and connect towards what Nolan wants us to feel. In a side note, I also want to appreciate the set design here in this scene, as the Joker is seen with the Vote for Harvey Dent sticker, showing how the Joker is trying to play off on Harvey's side, and also the Joker's hospital ID badge is blank, which helps suggest his non-existent identity before he was a Joker as a man of true mystery. The Vote for Dent sticker is even torn in half if you look close enough, and I can interpret the sticker as it representing Dent's beliefs and ideologies, as this can explain how the Joker is only interested in the one-sided Dent, which isn't Dent as a loving boyfriend to Rachel or as a powerful, incorruptible DA, but instead the Joker is here to unleash the side of Dent that has lost faith of the justice system and police he believed in so much in, and is a man who begins to see how bent the city really is, and how these laws can fail. The Joker is only here to see this one side of Harvey, as the Joker even connects to it and agrees, which is why he's shown only wearing half of the sticker that Dent believes in. Furthermore, this half the Joker wants Dent to see is what really convinces Harvey into viewing true justice from chance or chaos. It also is really cool to see how Harvey Dent took a brief second to look at half of the sticker that Joker is wearing. In this next scene, the Joker was recently captured and he is being questioned by Gordon and will later be interrogated with the help of Batman in hopes of finding information of where Harvey Dent is being held against his will. As the scene continues, we can clearly see how the darkness of lighting has a role to tell a different story for both Gordon and the Joker. James Gordon's lighting can tell us how lost and unsettled Gordon is in the situation. Most of Gordon's face is littered with darkness, as if Nolan is trying to tell us how he is truly in the dark, because he walked inside trying to get answers, but was immediately left in the dark with the Joker's presence. Gordon's face, of course, looks troubled with all of this, as he doesn't seem to fit with this lighting very well, as this puts his character in an uncomfortable situation. Nicholas Debbie's amazing YouTube video based on this scene, named How Does a Camera Tell a Story, explains how Gordon's background shows how he's trapped in society's cage, but from my own interpretation, I can see the lighting from the ceiling, as if showing the rules and laws Gordon follows as a commissioner. But it is interesting to see how it lights up not even a quarter of the room, as this can show how ineffective the rules of law and code Gordon follows are against someone like the Joker, who doesn't seem to follow anything besides the idea of anarchy. Perhaps this shot is trying to tell us that breaking some line of code and ethics is the only possible way to take down the Joker, which is what we see with Batman's sonar equipment later in the movie, which is ethically questionable as it conveyed millions of people's privacy, but it was the only way that Batman was able to take down the Joker. As I can interpret the shot to explain how the characters that want to take down the Joker will only do so by sacrificing some of their current morals and beliefs, which is what we see with Batman do later in the film with the sonar equipment. On the other hand, the Joker is framed with a pitch black background, but he seems to be more comfortable and better suited in his framing than compared to Gordon's with the help of great acting. Nicholas Debbie's YouTube video also explains that the darkness behind the Joker can show how the Joker belongs to no society. This does seem to be true, but from my own interpretation, I can see the darkness behind the Joker showing him as a mysterious character with no clear backstory of his existence. I also see the darkness as him simply hiding information from us. The rest of Joker's body is out of sight, just like the information he currently has about Harvey Dent, or what his true intentions really are as a person. To just add on the amount of darkness in this part of the scene, the amount of darkness here can also visually display the idea of how wherever the Joker goes, darkness will follow. This next third example will show an amazing use of camera work. Here we get to see Batman introduced to the scene, and by viewing the shot, I can interpret how both characters may not be so different from one another than we think, as both characters are framed within the same room, both even looking in the same direction. As crazy as the Joker really does seem, you can argue how crazy Batman really is as a person, who dresses up in a bat costume, fighting crooks in the middle of the night, as both characters both take their beliefs of justice or anarchy into the extremes. I think this shot does an amazing job on showing how both characters can be viewed from the same perspective at times, as this shot sort of puts them in the same boat. You can see the idea of how Batman and the Joker will be destined to go at it forever, with a lifelong internal battle, by viewing the camera work, as the camera seems to slowly and continuously go around both characters, as if the camera is showing us how they will always be battling with another no matter what, as they both also carry away an equal amount of space, which they don't seem to give away often, between separate sides of good and evil that will always be battling. Once Batman loses control, the camera movement becomes more unpredictable to showcase the amount of uncertainty in this part of the scene, as the camera also cuts a lot quicker to add to the amount of intensity to the scene. We can clearly see the amount of physical strength coming from Batman, but the placement of characters shows us something else. The Joker is shot to be slightly above the Batman, and the camera angle shows us how, even though he may be physically stronger, Batman will not be able to overpower the Joker. Interestingly, the Joker is shot to be in more power when Batman talks about breaking his one rule, which is not to kill anyone. Perhaps this shot is also showing us how Batman's current ways of laws and morality may be his true weakness compared to the reckless anarchy of the Joker. As the Joker brings up Rachel's name, Batman gets even more angered, as the camera shows even more frequent cuts and fast shots to show how more tense and suspenseful the scene is becoming. When Batman is seen tossing the Joker into the mirror, smashing it in the process, I can see how it can be a visual representation of whenever Batman becomes more violent and brutal with his ways, he is reflected more negatively, as his reflection with the mirror is now cracked because of his violent approach, as Gordon is seen in an attempt to stop what is happening. In a sense, the broken mirror can show how Batman is doing more damage to himself and his reputation, with how he is now viewed by the police, instead of the damage he is inducing towards the Joker. We get to see a low-angle shot to show Batman to be above the Joker when the Joker is on the ground, which is almost completely vertical. Although Batman is shot to be in more power, we already know who truly has the power here, but the shot that we would normally think makes Batman look like an unstoppable force actually is shot to show how much the Batman is struggling with himself, considering his character isn't yelling out of intimidation, but is instead yelling out of frustration and disbelief, as we also get to see how startled and shaken Batman is, as the shot can show a parallel to let us think who really is in control. This final shot can show how all of Batman's strength just isn't working against the Joker, as the Joker is still centered in the middle of the frame, while his hands are not in the main focus, which is terrifying, since all the power and physical strength Batman has was the only thing initially working for him, but it is not even catching the attention of the camera, as he has just lost this battle, as his physical aspects are now difficult to note compared to the Joker's smirks and laughs. It just really does an amazing job at letting us question who truly has the power. When I first viewed the film for the first time, I was amazed with the intensity of this film, with the action and the story, but it was impossible for me not to notice the late Heath Ledger's performance in this film, as he completely took over the film for me, as he seemed to take his role into the extreme with the flawless and breathtaking performance by Heath. But watching this for the fifth time now, I can now understand how the film's composition also helped make this film so good, as it added more depth to this film, as it forces me to appreciate this film so much more, as the composition also gives the film a cooler vibe and adds more to the film overall. Christopher Nolan is truly a master at his work, as he can now add this amazing film to his already stellar collection. I cannot wait to see his upcoming film Tenet, as Nolan is truly one of the greatest filmmakers alive.